with Bros, episode 11. Sounds like heaven.
Okay, you listen to a little bit of 90s rap. You wanna spit a couple of bars and rhyme a little bit.
No, he's the rapper though.
Not at all.
Shout out to my brother, Original Brian. He'll tell you all about it. But anyway,
oh my gosh. Episode 11. Welcome
11.
back to another episode of Breakfast with Bros. How you doing?
What's up, y'all?
How you doing?
Peace.
Man, here we are. You got Gene, and I'm with 30 Mil today. What's up, 30 Mil?
What's up, man? I'm cool, man. How you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for the comments, giving us things that you want to hear us to discuss. Please, man, don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe. You know, it's free, man, and it helps, right?
It definitely does. And we appreciate you who already like, comment, subscribe.
Yes.
We take heed to everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. We
All
love
of
it. Keep it coming.
Yes. Don't forget, go to theredemptionbrand.com. I'm representing today because our guy Joel cannot be here. Prayers up to Joel for everything, that everything is all right in his life, because that's our guy.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Where we going to start today, man? First of all, not even where we're going to start. Let's just keep it real. You've been telling me for a couple of days that you just say you want to open this thing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove myself from the mic, and I'm going to listen, man. Go ahead. What you got to say?
All right. So when we do these pods, you know, me and Gene, we go back and forth before the episodes, and we talk about what he might discuss and, you know, some of the guests that he might have. And he's always throwing these ideas out, and I'm usually shooting them down. He probably won't say that, but I'm like, nah, bro, don't do that. They're going to take it too hard. But this time, I'm going to take the lead on something I've been telling him not to address, and that is the independent woman.
Okay. All right. So
it's about to get heavy, y'all. About to get heavy.
All right, here we go. All right. So define the independent. All right. So we have to take it a couple of ways, right? Because when you say independent woman,
right.
Some women will say, what's wrong with being independent? So let's start there.
So where I'm at, right here, there is nothing wrong with you being an independent woman. But.
Well, you can't say but.
Okay, no buts. There's nothing wrong with you being an independent woman. There's nothing wrong with you being an independent woman as long as you understand what that is.
Okay. So, all right, explain what that is in your eyes.
Right. So, an independent woman.
This is going to be good. Got it.
This is going to be heavy. Let's go. Let's roll up the sleeves, roll your pants up. The independent woman is a woman that is self-sufficient. She can take care financially. She can take care emotionally, spiritually, mentally of herself. That is the independent woman. What we've been hearing is the independent woman is different, though. You want me to go into that? Or
go ahead, yeah, tell the difference.
All right. What we've been hearing is the independent woman is the woman that does not need a man, more specifically, a husband.
Okay, let's stay right there.
All right.
All right, here we go. So when you say need, right?
Right.
Some people take need as a form of desperation.
Right.
We don't see need as a form of desperation.
Not at all.
So if you say to a woman, do you feel like you need a man or do you feel like you need a husband? She's going to say no.
Right.
But from what we've learned, not from what we think, but from what we've learned.
What we've read, what we've heard.
If you ask a man if he needs a woman or a wife, what is he going to say? He's going
to say he needs it.
Why is that?
We just smart. No, I'm messing with you. No. There is some, let me go into this, right?
Yeah.
There is some stigmas. So ladies, I'm going to cut you some slack. I understand that the suffrage movement, I understand that you ladies are not treated with equality
don't call them you guys, don't call them ladies. Remember, you say women.
All right, we're going to go women.
That's another thing. What I learned is when you say anything but women, that's
becomes something else.
One word away from calling them the B word. That's what I was told personally.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic.
I'm just saying.
That's a whole nother.
I've been told that by multiple women.
So we'll keep it on the women. I say, just so y'all know, I say ladies as a term of endearment, but women, I understand your struggle. I understand the inequality. I understand how you can you feel like you're not treated the same. And I agree with you when it comes to salaries, when it comes to, different things. And we spoke about gender roles, at least they did in the last pod. But where was we going? We was going to just so I get my train of thought back.
Yeah, you lost it?
I understand where you went.
About needing a man.
I understand
and a
where
man
the
needing a
women
woman.
are as far as suffrage. But what happens is it becomes a little bit distorted where we understand because of our history that we've always needed the woman. Now in present day, I'm going to just bust up on Gene. He always say the modern
woman. Yeah. They out there.
They out there. Now in present day, we think that, women believe that you don't need a man because you're independent.
So, all right. So let's just hear this, right? The problem with that is unfortunately, when some women say independent woman, that is the fact of that means they don't need a man. And that's not the definition of an independent woman, which you just so beautifully put, if everyone followed, right? So any smart man or smart woman understands that it is smart and highly, efficient to have the right partner in your life. And when I say efficient, we're talking about economically, we're talking about socially, and we're talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Yeah. Because guess what? 2 is better than 1 when you have the right other one. And that's what we're talking about. So when I say I need a woman or I need a wife, that's why I'm married, because I found the right one.
And let me piggy right there. So my thought while me and Jane were talking about this was on that. So now that we've got that addressed, I'm not against the independent woman. I think that you should be independent. It's just when you believe that independent woman is someone that doesn't need the husband. So this is what I was thinking, Gene, and see if you can follow me on this, and I want y'all to see if y'all can follow me on this as well. When you meet someone, there's a want. You want to be with that person. You want to spend time with that person. You want that person. Even when you first see them, it might be physically. There's a physical want, right? And then you might begin the courtship. If I'm speaking in different terms, and you start dating,
yeah.
You start talking, you start, hanging out, going out on dates and spending time and getting to know beyond what's your favorite color. You start to really find out what's your true colors. And I believe that what happens is you graduate from wanting to now you want that person and you need that person.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's great to be self-sufficient. When I met my wife, she was self-sufficient, taking care of her things. She was independent. However, how would we make it to being husband and wife if she still felt like she needed to do everything by herself? Because if that's the point, then there's no need for me to be there. What's my responsibilities with her if she can just do everything, right? Because what everyone forgets is when we say need, or whichever way you want to put it, it's not desperation. Like, straight up, I need my wife. I don't care what anybody's talking about. I need my wife. That's the woman I'm with. That's who I need.
I believe him.
Why? Because that's how, if we're going biblical, like Joel says, if we're going biblical, men that work, that have priorities, that have a vision, that has a journey that they're on, it's not good for that man to be alone. And to keep it real with y'all, like I had to tell somebody that in the comments before, when the woman was first formed, which is Eve, because we're talking about biblical, right? She was formed from the man when the man went to sleep. Because like Joel said, great things come out of the man when he gets rest. So when Eve was created, was Eve ever alone?
No.
Right. So then that's when we're talking from that standpoint, when women talk about independent, they don't need a man. From the beginning of time, you were never alone. There was always a man there with you. So why now all of a sudden do you feel like you don't need a man?
Right. And just so eloquently as you put it, I want to piggyback on that. When we talk about biblical, right? All right. We realize some people that follow the pod, you might have your own beliefs. We obviously are coming from that standpoint, the biblical standpoint. So we keep it there. And you got to be careful, right, when we dealing with this independent woman thing, because sometimes you hear relationship advice about people that are not married or not going toward marriage.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we're going into this arena. I got a few people I got to pick some quarrels with.
When we're talking about this process of going from wanting and the whole courtship to dating into wanting and needing that person, the ultimate goal is marriage. What we're talking about when we in that other podcast that the four of us were there, me, you, Brian, and Joel, and someone mentioned how we need a woman and we believe a woman needs a man. We were speaking in the sense of marriage. We weren't just, you don't meet somebody today, oh, I need you.
Right.
A little spooky. I think you should check that person off your list. I think you should keep it moving.
A little creepy.
That's a bit weird.
Right.
You don't want to do that. But when you meet someone and you want them, and eventually you begin to see like, wow, this person, I'm 100%, but this person is taking me to 200.
You tiptoeing a little bit. You say you wanted to open this up, right?
I'm gonna open it.
The point being is this, right? One of the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men and women need each other for survival. That's how I feel. Now, if you ask some men, they'll say that men don't need women for survival. I don't think that way. I believe we need women for the simple fact that without a woman, we can't reproduce.
Yeah.
All right? And not to be that cavemanish with that thought, it's just for the topic of conversation, right? I believe men need women because women do make things better when they're in agreement with you.
Absolutely.
Right? That's how it was designed. So this whole thing of, again, this is not just getting on the women. I'm talking about the men too.
This is both sides.
Don't be a bozo. I like your words, guys. Don't be a bozo.
It's both
and
sides.
Ladies, we're not saying that man that's taking up all your time, that's wasting your time. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the man that's working, that's in his work, that knows where he's going. That's the type of man we're talking about that needs a woman.
And who also values marriage. People hate that word. It's like, but if I value that word marriage, that means that me dealing with you is not just on F-boy time.
Right.
You feel what I mean? It's not. I'm not just trying to play with you. I'm actually looking towards a goal with you. And it's not day one, but let's not throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. It's not just, I don't need a man. Like, okay, well, if you're dating somebody, this is for whoever out there that might be listening to this, you in a relationship. You're not married, but you're in a little, girlfriend, boyfriend situation. I dare you tell that person, listen, I don't need you. Let's see how long that lasts. Like, it's going to be washed up in 2 seconds. So,
You know what? To be honest, what ruined that is feminism.
Ooh, talk about it. Now you opening it up.
Yeah, that's what, because we're not going to play around with this.
Somebody out there feminist though, bro.
Yeah, I don't rock with feminism.
Woo.
I'm just being real.
I'm with you.
Because what has happened is feminists and the feminism movement have taken women and turned them against men. And that's not what that movement should be for. What the feminist movement should be for is the equality we spoke about. Women having an equal voice in social politics or just social commentary. Women having a even pay on the job force. Women being able to have the same opportunity. However, what feminists is out there doing is using the propaganda of independent women to break down the households. That's why I don't rock with feminism at all. I don't care who it is. If you tell me you're a feminist, don't talk to me.
And let me say this too, right? We have to say this. We're dealing with black people. Like, we know everybody watches this pod, whether black, white, Jew, Christian, Muslim, whatever you are. But when I'm speaking about this too, let's talk about black people for a second, right? We deal with our own stuff, so it's like, for you to assume that feminist movement speaks to you specifically, you got to just evaluate it. Just think about how it applies to you. because think about how they broke down the family, the black family.
Well, that's what happened.
You know what I mean?
The video that we was talking about earlier about Sister Shahrazad Ali, right?
Talk about that. Who is that? Who is
That's
she?
a phenomenal woman that's been doing speeches in the 80s and 90s.
What's her name again?
Shahrazad Ali.
Whew. Link in the description.
YouTube her, and she talks about the destruction of the black family. And what a lot of people don't realize is that history, if you look at history, when you look at, all right, let's go back to the civil rights movement in the 60s, all right? Did we have black families together?
Did not.
In the 60s, we didn't?
No.
What happened?
Shoot, everything. Jim Crow. We just came up out of slavery.
No,
and,
but correction, we did, because in the 60s was a civil rights movement.
In certain places.
Right.
But this dates all the way back to slave days. You got to understand the breakup. And that's not I get what you're saying. There were communities, and I agree with you. There were certain communities that were together. But as a whole, I'm speaking on the blanket. I'm speaking on
just the black. But the construct of the black family was together in the 60s.
There was a concept of it.
Right. And remember, during the 60s with the civil rights, along that movement, what other movement happened?
What other movement?
The women's rights.
Yeah. I believe the women's rights, even that, has been going on for centuries.
Right. And the women should have their rights.
Absolutely.
Now, the problem with that is when you have the black people fighting for civil rights and the women's rights, the women's rights, as if you look at it and what happened, right? When you think about this, right, we know women didn't have a voice in a lot of history at all. And they're still struggling to today, which we got a lot of work to do. But what happened with the civil rights movement, when the women's rights came along, it took the mother, the wife, or the black woman out the household of the civil rights movement and had her fighting for the women's rights movement.
You don't think that they did both? I believe they did both.
No, what I think that happened is even if you had a sister still in civil rights, but you had that same sister in the women's rights, they were able to push that agenda further, faster, because in the women's rights, who was a part of that?
I don't know if I agree. Because to this day, what I'm saying is to this day, women are still struggling to have that equality.
They are.
Even when we dealing with blacks.
Let me ask you. Overall, though, have the women's rights received more traction than regular civil rights?
Yes and no. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's both a peril that just has not been. Listen, they kill us every day, right? And if we speak to even our viewers, a lot of women who do some of the same things as their colleagues, they might not get paid the same. Right. They might be treated, and it's still going on. So it's like one of those things. Like,
right now, again, I have no issue with the women's rights. Remember, we're still talking about what happened with the black family, with the structure of that. What happened? The women's rights needed to happen.
Certainly did.
Like all the way. And again, today there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Yep. I was actually talking about that with some colleagues today about how we could do some things for the women. You know, it's just it's kind of a space where women are not really they're not thought about in certain areas, and I'm all about having the best person in position, whether if it's man or woman.
And see, I love that you could speak like that amongst colleagues, like. And this is just to give my man Gene his credit because he hates this. This is what I mean, though, ladies. Like when a woman finds this man that she begins to need, it resembles that. It resembles somebody that actually has care and concern for you. Somebody that has your best interest at heart. No, he's not perfect. He's not a perfect man. But he's a married man. He needs his wife. His wife needs him. That's what I mean. I'm a single brother. I'm single, right? So obviously I haven't crossed that bridge.
What's the Instagram again?
Right. You know what I mean? I haven't crossed that bridge yet. However, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I believe when I do meet that person that I won't be rushing into it, but I'll know, all right, this one is now in need. I need to be involved with this person.
But we're gonna have to have Felicia and Tessa back on because they're gonna want to discuss this after.
Shout out to Felicia and Tessa.
Yeah. By the way, quick plug, shameless plug. Make sure you go check out episode 9 because they were on there. But yeah, we're gonna have to have them back.
We thank y'all for the reviews too, especially for part 3, episode 9, part 3. We just released it, but that's just been getting a super buzz. Make sure y'all check out the conversation that they had, man.
But back to this independent woman.
Independent.
So and here is the thing too, right? So here's another thing, right? I was having a conversation with my wife, and something was bugging me, and I said to her, right? I said, hey, when you look on the news, what image do you see of a black man?
It's never good.
And I said, when you look on social media, what's the image you see of the black man?
It's never good.
And I said, and I was like, think about that, right? So I said, if we spend a lot of our time on our phones or looking at TV, and we have these images that we're not able to decipher from what's real and what's just being programmed into our brain, when you see a black man, how do you see him originally? And she said, oh, I said, yeah. But I said, is that your experience? I said, because you're married to a black man. Your father was a black man. Yet the news, television media, social media paints a different type of image of the black man that she actually deals with.
Exactly.
And then I said this. I said, when you see a white man on the news, what do you see?
There's some form of wealth. There's some health. There's something good.
I said, how often do you ever see like a white man on social media being portrayed as like a deadbeat or shooting another white man? And the thing is, it's nobody's fault, but we have to recognize how certain things are portrayed. Because guess what? There are some black men that have wealth. There are some white men that are deadbeats, right? And every population, there is good and there is bad, right? As far as race goes, if you want to talk about race or culture, right? It's not just the black culture, but however, you have to remember, since we're talking about, we're black, we're talking about the black families, we're talking about independent women, we're talking about feminism. Most of the time, unfortunately, where do you see the independent woman being pumped at? What audience? To who?
To ours.
Right.
To the black woman.
And that's the whole point I'm trying to make. So you guys got to think about this. When you're on social media, there's an algorithm, right? That social media knows exactly who you are as a user. It knows what you've seen the last couple of minutes, what you clicked on, what you scrolled by. It knows your ethnicity. It knows all these things. So social media is specifically curated for you, the user.
And they'll keep feeding you that
for you to see what they want you to see, not what you believe you like to see.
Let me interject this too, right? Just to stay on that, but to give another perspective. So social media is doing that to us. The media is doing that to us. Also, 9 times out of 10, maybe 9.9 times out of 10, if you believe that as an independent woman, you can operate without a man for the rest of your life, that is a gift. Right? Let me tell you that. That is a gift. That is not something that is just given to everybody. Like, that's a gift. There's some people that are supposed to be single for their life, but you can't mix that with you wanting to be married and I don't need a man. It just doesn't go together. Also, let me say this. Also, if you believe that, you probably went through some traumatic experience. You could think back to some dude you was dealing with, some guy, you know what I mean, and he did you wrong or whatever. And during that time or right after that time, you heard or you read this word, and the words sound like this. Please, you don't need a man. You need to do your own thing. Like,
that sounds like Steve Harvey to me.
Right. That's going to make you dependent on him. That's going to make you desperate. And because you attach that word that you heard with the traumatic experience, now it becomes gospel. It becomes what you live by. And you go on all these years wondering why you so hard on yourself and on what could potentially be your significant other.
Right. Or you've been listening to Derrick Jackson.
Yeah.
We ain't got to say too much about him. We covered him already.
You see what happened to him,
or
right?
Or Steve Harvey. And listen, I have the utmost respect for Steve Harvey, what he's done in the entertainment world, as a showman, as a businessman. However, that man panders to women because there's a lot of money and women consumers. How can a man?
So what you saying? He's tickling their ears?
Yes, he's tickling their ears. Because if you go, how many of those women that Steve Harvey has given advice to have gotten married or in a serious relationship?
That's a real question. You got to ask yourself that. That's a real question. That is a real,
When-
because
How can a man write a book for a woman called Think Like a Man? So, if a man's writing a book for a woman to
I
think
thought
like
I was gonna open it up, and
So-
now it's Gene opening it up. He's
nah, because this ain't right. So, if a man is writing a book for a woman called
Right.
Think Like a Man,
right.
when she approaches that man, how is that man gonna recognize she's a woman if she's thinking like him?
That's a big problem too. And just a precursor. I am a single brother. That turns. I don't know if anybody. You know what I mean. I got the hat on. Whatever. I don't think I look too bad. I don't turn me on. Like you being like me is not really a turn on. Like you being like a man. Be a woman. Be a strong woman. Be yourself.
And again, let's go back to the programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a man's writing a book telling you to think like a man and he's giving you tips and tricks, to me, that's like he's trying to give you the upper advantage in a game.
And it's not a game.
Right.
This is really not this
It-
life that we live
like,
is not a game.
What? That's what I'm saying.
It's
So
baffling. That's baffling.
again, look, I don't know if he ever could see this somehow in the future. Steve, I do love a lot of the work that you do, but that I don't rock with. Especially, look, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect, right? But how many times has Steve Harvey been married?
And
No. How many times has he been married?
A few times.
How many? What's a few?
What is it? 3, 4? What
Okay,
is it?
I believe it's 3 times, right? Logic has to come into play sometimes, mixed with a little bit of common sense.
Yeah.
Why would you buy a book from a man telling you to think like a man for relationship advice when he's been married 3 times? That means he's not even taking his own advice. Period. You need a break?
Nah, we gonna
Oh.
go into it. Listen,
I thought you
I
was
agree with you. No, look, this is what it is too. It's you taking advice from somebody that just has failed relationships. Like that's failure.
Listen, man.
And even me, right? Speaking on my authority, like I said, I've never crossed that broom of marriage, but I'm not speaking from a place of myself, like we said from the beginning, right?
Mhm.
We're looking at it from a biblical perspective. So if I'm saying something that's wrong, it's because you may not understand where I'm getting it from. It's contained in the book. And I'm telling you that I'm coming from a place of I know that I need the woman. I need to be myself as a man. I need to have a vision, a clear vision. I need to have some qualities to me that can allow us to grow together.
Look, I'm not done with Steve Harvey, though.
No, listen, all right.
I'm
And
not
then
done with
look
Steve
with
Harvey.
Steve Harvey. But the thing with Steve Harvey is, somebody broke this down for me, right? One of my colleagues was like, have you ever like really investigated his current wife, like in the whole situation, and how all of them took his last name, even though they have a father? Wow.
Tell the people why that is.
Their father's in jail for he's a drug
Drugs.
kingpin.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, they thought it was going to be, more beneficial to their name to take on Steve Harvey's name.
Why?
I'm talking about even Lori Harvey as
Right.
a grown woman, like she was basically grown, like at the time, like she was.
Let's just keep it real. Before her last name was Harvey, who was she?
I don't even remember her last name.
Okay, then she was. Look. It's
She was
whatever.
nobody, yeah.
Just like look, when we say nobody, she was regular. She didn't have the celebrity attached to her.
Right.
So, and here's the thing, right? Like you just said that about Steve. I watched. It's so funny because I kind of forgot we was going to talk about this today, but somehow I ended up watching 2 clips on Steve Harvey, right,
Mm-hmm.
from this other YouTube channel called Abba and Preach. Check them out. They're pretty funny. They got a huge following and they say some real stuff. And 2 separate clips, right? One where Steve Harvey was by himself,
Right.
still with his majority female audience, and another one where he's had his audience, but then on the stage with him were women, right? In the clip where there was no women, a woman talked about how she got engaged and proposed to, and the guy got cold feet, and she broke it off, and yada, yada, yada. And Steve said, hey, sometimes it happens. Basically, he might have just had cold feet. You don't want to, like you say, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
Hey, try to work it out. See where he's at. Give him some time, because you could just be getting rid of a good thing because he has cold feet. Then on the next episode that I saw, when he had women on the stage with him, this guy was talking about how he wanted to date and get to know somebody and bond. And the woman on the stage cut him off and said, no, there's no bonding period. You know, if you want to marry somebody right away. And guess what Steve Harvey did?
What he did?
Nothing. He said nothing. After he just told another woman to give a man a chance, he let this other woman on stage with him tell another man that he don't need no time to think if he wants to marry this woman.
That sound like you just saying whatever people want to hear. And you just let her say whatever.
Pandering.
Didn't even address it. Yeah, like, and listen, I'll keep it real with you, Gene. I don't listen to the, like, listen, there's so many people out here. I'm Steve Harvey, Kevin Samuel, even though he addresses women the way he does, some of it is half true, some of it is not. I don't listen to them. Yo.
I like Kevin Samuel.
I don't listen to none of them because
I have to say that. I gotta be ashamed to say that.
It gives me nothing. It doesn't, because even him, right? We talking about what fruit, like, all right, we just said Steve Harvey. How many times you been married? Kevin Samuel, is he married? He's married right now?
No, I'm saying, I'm in agreement with you.
It's like, so we taking advice from people that they're not showing us anything. Like, even, I always harp on you. I'm like, yo, I'm so proud of you, bro, because you know what I mean? You sticking it out. You know, you holding on to your union of marriage, you know what I'm saying? And you just started this journey, and it's going to be a long journey.
Right.
That's stuff that I would open my ear to. You saying something, I'm like, all right, I could go with him because he's going in the direction I want to go. Ladies, why would you listen to somebody that's not going in that direction that you want to go?
That's the whole thing. Unfortunately, because just because a person is giving you relationship advice doesn't mean that it's for you. And unfortunately, when you take that advice sometimes, that's what keeps you being that independent woman, which we're speaking about. Because nobody's giving you advice. They're not giving you advice on how to cooperate with your man, on how to be the helpmate for your man that women were designed for, if we're talking biblically, right?
The helpmate.
And then if we're talking about just regular, some people used to say ride or die. I'm not telling you gotta die. If somebody's being foolish, you get away from them.
Just ride.
But
just ride.
Unfortunately, what happens in these times nowadays, people are a lot easier to give up. And did you know that, unfortunately, most divorces, especially in the black community, 80% of them are, the woman, 80% of the time is the one that leaves the marriage. Yeah, that files a divorce.
Could it be because of the independent woman? No,
I don't know. Okay. I mean, that's I don't want to paint the narrative of that way, but what I'm saying, all these things lead to someone saying that they don't need a man.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, let's just think about this, right? If you're married and y'all taking care of the household, right, and you guys get divorced, most of the time, right, here we go again into this provide and protect, right? Because most of the time, the woman want the man to pay the bills or whatever, which is okay, or pay majority at least, right? Or even pay 50-50. So then when you lose that 50%, what happens to your lifestyle?
It's drastically changed.
It's damaging, right? Yeah, and I think people have to look at things on an economic level and just be wise about their decisions. Obviously, if it's not good for you, it's not good for you. But people are leaving because they have a few arguments. People are leaving because people change and they don't know how to grow with them and respect that person's change, even though the change is not hurting them or the relationship. Right? That's some of the things. Somebody gets on your nerve, you're ready to leave.
Too fast, man.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's I call it propaganda, like the social media, the news and all that stuff. Just like with men, right? Because men got to be accountable too, right? Like Joel said, if you with a woman sometimes and she could be acting up, sometimes it could be because, she has some trauma and she's going through some things. But sometimes that's a reflection of you as a man. Mm-hmm. Right? So, men, you got to, you got to look yourself in the mirror, too.
You could tell a man who's married by his wife. right? Like it's always interesting. Like when you see a married couple walk in, like when I see a married couple walk in, like I just look at the wife, like, and I could kind of tell, I could gauge where they're at, as a couple by her face or her countenance. Most of the time, sometimes it's a little. You can never tell. You got a lot of phonies that be running around here. Oh, we super married. We are the best ever. That's a whole nother topic too. We just listen. That independent woman piece. If I could make this final point, the independent woman is a woman that is fully secure in herself, and in the fact that one day she needs that husband. If your choice is marriage, unless you're going to be single for the rest of your life.
So let me ask you a question before we get out of here, right?
Right.
Is that why you feel that you're still single? That you run into that a lot?
Absolutely. That's not the sole reason. Obviously, there's a work I'm doing within myself as well. And if I'm frank, y'all know, come on, cut it out. Y'all all know I'm mad picky. I'm mad impatient with stuff. I be,
see, perfect example, y'all. Y'all thought I was going to, see, look, this is not a beat up session on the woman. The man has to be accountable too, right?
Right.
This brother's single. He just said he's picky. So when we talk about the Bible says love is patient, love is kind. And with patience comes a form of not being picky.
Right.
Or if somebody has something that you don't like or they're doing something you don't like, if that's the person you want to try to rock with, you have to have the patience to help them work through that. But
I'm just going to keep saying right because I'm not going to get myself in trouble. Look, if my wife is out there, shout out to you.
Because if you never give somebody the chance, maybe do one foolish thing, you might never find the wife that's for you. Agreed. All right, just imagine, right? Imagine if I reacted off of everything my wife did in the beginning of our relationship or the years that we were together before we got married. Would I be married to her?
You sure wouldn't.
Okay, if I had your mindset, would I be married to my wife?
You might be.
No.
You might be.
No.
Because listen.
Brother, you don't have the patience.
Okay. That's based on what though? So it's as of recent, right? If I'm speaking recently, I've been single for some time now. It was about 5 years.
Whenever somebody says some time, it's a couple of years.
It's been about 5 years now. Keeping it real with you, lady. But I think that's dope though.
Yeah, it is.
In that time, I've learned to.
I've been there.
Just appreciate me. And
so that's the whole thing, right? Being, you got to be happy in your singleness. Because if you can't be happy by yourself, just bringing somebody else along is not going to make you happy.
Right.
But back to what we were getting at, right? The reason why I say that is because it takes patience dealing with anyone, just like my wife had to have patience with me.
Agreed.
I'm not saying it as I was some perfect man and, oh, my God, this imperfect woman I have to be patient with. Right. No, that wasn't the case. But I'm speaking from my angle. And what happened was through time, I learned different things. Okay, you can react to that. You can react to this. Don't react to that. And I'll never forget, right? Well, I was engaged and I was traveling, doing some work, and I was up in Buffalo or Syracuse, and I was taking the plane home, and I sat next to this guy. I remember his name, man. This guy, his name was Dwight. Dwight around your lip.
Around your lip.
I sat next to this guy named Dwight.
Ashy lip, Dwight next to you.
He had a suit on. He sat down. He was like, he just was like kind of refreshing himself. Yeah. Introduced himself and everything. We started talking. I was like, yeah, man, I just got engaged. You know how, when people that's mad.
He like, yo, yeah, just got engaged.
With people that's married already, they give you that look.
They give you that. Oh, okay.
Oh, really? How long?
Well, all the best to you and yours.
Right, and I see him. He's like this, and I said, hey, man.
Ooh, I don't know what you just got into.
I don't know this guy. I said, hey, man. Yeah, what's up? Hey, if there's any one thing you could tell me, right, about how your marriage has lasted 26 years and still counting, because he told me he's been married for 26 years.
It's a big.
I had to ask him. I said, what would you tell me?
What he said to you?
He said,
get out of it. No. Run while you can.
I thought he was gonna say don't walk down. He said he took a deep breath. He really thought. He said, listen, when decisions are made, if your wife makes a decision or she does something, that's not gonna affect the long term of the household,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. Don't fight about it.